Now get ready to greet Sara Marder, who went from being a banker to being an activist, and she actually kickstarted the Fridays for Future movement in Milan. So welcome, Sara.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you to everybody. It's nice to be here, and since today's Friday, I brought my sign, which says Climate Emergency, which I made in December 2018 for Greta. Today it's Friday, it's her 113th Friday in a row that she's protesting. So, and the idea behind Fridays for Future is that we all dedicate a little bit of time every Friday to thinking about our future. I know that everybody in this room and everybody who's listening does that every day, but you know, she was launching this alarm to kind of the wider society. And I have the pleasure, the honor, but also the responsibility of, let's say, moderating this session with voices from the future. And we're gonna have Chiara Guiotto online, and then we have 3 videos. And it's a short session. I just want to say, obviously, we're all pieces of the puzzle, and youth are an important piece of the puzzle. So it's important that we hear from them. And I think they're going to give you all a sense. I mean, there are all sorts of different ways to be pieces of this puzzle: institutional, entrepreneurial, being activists. And it's important, you know, and events like this are important, so I'm glad to be here, because it's a way to bring together lots of different pieces of the puzzle. And as Greta said from the very beginning, we're all welcome, we're all needed. And so with that, I'm hoping that the regia, they're gonna queue up the first video, which is on the part of, actually, I think it's gonna be UN, SDNSN. So let's see if the video is gonna come up.
Hello, my name is Sam Loney, and I'm a program director at the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the SDSN, which is a special program and initiative launched by the UN Secretary General in 2012 to mobilize global expertise behind the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement. At the SDSN for the past 5 years, I've had the incredible pleasure of leading SDSN Youth, one of the world's biggest networks of young professionals dedicated to action on sustainable development. SDSN Youth is a network of 750 member organizations from 80 countries and 22 regional and national centers, with a simple mission: to equip young leaders with the tools, resources, and the networks necessary for them to be able to shape a more sustainable and a more equitable global community. I really want to thank Regeneration 2030 for the opportunity to speak with you all. This is such an important time to organize this event, especially with such important themes such as climate, economy, and happiness and well-being. Congratulations. The reason this is an important time to have these discussions is because we're in unprecedented times. We are seeing a major pandemic which has caused serious disruptions and serious threats and very unfortunate deaths in terms of the health sector. In terms of work, it has put a stop to many people being able to continue their work, continue their business, and continue their livelihoods. The mental well-being impact, the impact over the overall economy, and disruptions to education, and many, many, many other implications. This is but a mere glimpse into the future that is awaiting us. Unpredictable, complex, and very challenging. Especially when we look at climate change, which is going to introduce many other variables and shocks that we are likely to expect. At SDSN Youth, we have the simple mission, as mentioned earlier, to be able to equip young leaders, to be able to equip the next generation with the tools and resources so that they can respond to these shocks more effectively, but be able to shape a better future for all. And why? Well, because this is the biggest generation of young people the world has ever seen, and the most educated generation the world has ever seen. They come with very strong values of global citizenship and commitment to sustainable development. And they are likely to be able to participate more effectively and be able to actually influence the direction of the future. At SDSN Youth, we have a commitment to be able to enable young leaders from around the world to shape this future. We know what needs to happen. And I believe, and through research that has been shown, that young people time and time again have been at the forefront of some of the biggest movements in history. And now more than ever, we need a movement underpinned by the Sustainable Development Goals and commitment to well-being and commitment to a better economy, a more fair economy, to lead the way towards a better future for all. Thank you very much, and best of luck on your deliberations. I know that we're going to need it, and SDSN Youth is supportive of this great program. Good luck. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cassia. I'm the founder and CEO of Youth Climate Leaders, which trains and connects young people with opportunities to start their careers in the field of climate change. Through our global network, present in over 20 countries and 5 continents, including Italy, we empower young people to develop or work in various regenerative projects. We have partners restoring land through agroforestry, fellows running vegan restaurants and pushing for sustainable diets. We support projects that advocate for zero waste and circular economy. Even though more than half of the world's population is below 30, youth worldwide disproportionately face the highest rates of unemployment. After they are aware about the climate crisis and get the right skills to act, young people still lack funding, networks, and legitimacy to have a meaningful contribution. At the same time, organizations at the forefront are struggling to hire the young talent that will bring the fresh perspectives and resources needed to boost their climate projects. Therefore, YCL was created to bridge this gap. We believe that in order to regenerate our future, we will have to channel youth energy, passion, and creativity into concrete solutions for a transition to a more just and sustainable world, thereby creating new jobs within the new climate economy. Are you in?
Hi, Chiara. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
And we can hear you, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Chiara is going to tell us about Officine Italia, which was born during the pandemic, during the lockdown. This group of young people found a way to channel their energy that was being contained. And I would take the opportunity, I'm going to take my sign back, I would take the opportunity to say, I mean, we all know this, but we need to help society to understand that this pandemic is a manifestation of the climate emergency, and that and so luckily we're finding more and more ways to work together and face this, this existential crisis. So Chiara, if you can tell us something about Officine Italia and what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Sarah. It's an honor to be virtually with you here today. Well, I would like to tell you briefly where we started, what we've done, and where we are right now. So, all started in April, organizing a 3-day event, a virtual square where young professionals from very different backgrounds and students gathered to express their ideas, their projects, and design proposal for the relaunch of Italy. There were a lot of energies in that moment that were unlocked, and we created these 3 days where we collaborated also with institutions, with managers, entrepreneurs from all over Italy, and not only Italians being all over the world to design this proposal. What we have learned in that moment was that actually there are hundreds and hundreds of associations in Italy and of Italians abroad with very ambitious purposes, with very ambitious projects that need a coordinated movement, that need to work together and only together to actually have an effective voice and to be listened. So this is what happened in July, and we created a first youth network that gathered all these associations. We started being 20. Today we are around 70 associations. We're growing day by day with the aim of actually influence the political agenda. We had the we were helped by two professors that in July were very important for us to begin our activities, Professor Enrico Giovannini and Alessandro Rosina. They allowed us to build our first goal, to create a plan, a youth plan of proposal for the relaunch of Italy, where we wanted to imagine a world based on three pillars: inclusiveness, environmental sustainability, and a culture of innovation. So we started building a 70 pages proposal where, based on the methodological approach of the SDGs of the Agenda 2030, so we decided to build every proposal with its own goal, with its concrete actions and indicators for the future of Italy. Now, where we are right now, we finished to create this document, which is a live document. It's probably going to have a new version, an extended or probably short version of it. And what we are looking now is actually to connect with as many institutions as possible, with as many people that decide the political agenda and have an impact on on how the resources are going to be allocated for the future. So we would like to activate an intergenerational dialogue, which is structural, systemic, and inclusive. So since the reforms we're going to see in the next years to recover our country from the pandemic are going to borrow resources from our generation, we think it's fundamental to actually include our voice, the voice of young people, of an entire generation that has something to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiara. And obviously, if you're interested, please reach out to them, and these networking opportunities are important. Now we're going to see a video from an activist from Fridays for Future.
Hello, I'm Andrea Ascari. I'm an activist of Fridays for Future movement in Milan. Thanks for having invited me here today. I think it's a good thing that investors, banks, and industries are now talking about what they can do to slow down the growing ecological collapse, and about what we can do together to regenerate our ecosystems and our society values. A process of regeneration is exactly what we need to restore the wildlife we've destroyed until now. But in my experience, words have been very far from facts. Most of the announcements companies and big corporations do about their products or their solution for the climate change are marketing, rather than a real commitment in mitigation or adaptation to the climate change impacts. An example is how energy industries are now promoting hydrogen, methane, and natural gases as green energy, or relying on CO2 capture technologies not yet invented just to continue their business as usual. This can't be the way we deal with the biggest threat our species has ever faced. We can't have big players lying about their decarbonization plans or the sustainability of the products they sell, because it's a suicidal strategy when used at global scale, and it's used at global scale now. Our hope is that companies understand that climate change won't be stopped by our words, elusive promises, or postponing the problem, but only mutual aid and collaboration between every society's part, from local to global level, can save us from the worst case scenario. We need entrepreneurs with the courage to do what is believed to be undoable now. People that start to work for the natural and the wildlife and not against them. people who have realized how unequal our world is due to the Western society's massive extractivism of the last 300 years, and recognize we can solve climate crisis if we don't solve this issue first. We need to invest in people more than technologies and educate ourselves about what's really important and valuable. Because if we don't get rid of the superficial layer our society has built on top of our lives, we're gonna have to learn it on our skin. As our demand for Earth's ecosystem is now 1.6 planets per year, our economy can continue to think our resources are infinite or that renew within a short time. We need to break that assumption and start to build an economy that recognizes the value of every single person, animal, and plant, and knows it can exist only within the limits of the planet. We really need the good companies, banks, and investors to step up and help us to spread the consciousness of how we can work together for climate justice and build an equal world where our children can have a reason to live. Don't fail on us. Thanks.
Hello everyone, I am Yunus Kamira. I am 15 years old and I'm from Morocco. We are engaging with the question, what does it mean to thrive? What is it and how can we measure it in real time? The Thriving Index is a new way to measure real prosperity. It asks, is this a fair and equal place to live? Is it sustainable so future generations can flourish too? Are people happy? Do they feel safe? Are the conditions present for everyone to do well? Because I care about where I live, I'm trying to see how I can support my community in helping people to live well. That's why we are building a Thriving Index. Many organizations, especially those collecting the data, are not getting a full picture of lives using only economic measures, and they only publish them once a year. With the Thrive Index, a first of its kind tool to get information and data about the community well-being in real time. We are starting our effort by developing simple polls on social media, asking people about their current experience in life, health, happiness, safety, and others. The Thrive Index will have the ability of redefining the way governments support the important assets, their people. You can also create a Thrive Index. We invite you to get your community involved. Thank you.
So obviously we've seen 4 different sorts of voices. I think they're representative of all sorts of different aspects of the youth working to be a solution. You know, there's the institutional approach, entrepreneurial networking, the advocacy, etc. I would add, I'm the mother of 4 children. And I feel as though, you know, a lot of times I hear adults say that the youth are giving them hope. I honestly feel that, and if there's one thing I would ask of all of you, is if you hear other people saying that, or if you say that yourself, you stop and you say, we adults need to give the youth hope. We need to ensure that we leave a legacy of planet that is hospitable to human life. We're not on a trajectory, perhaps, to do that. And luckily, this is a group of people who are actively engaged in that. So I'd like to think that we're the ones closest to the power, levers of power. We're the ones that have the direct responsibility to handle this. The time frame is compressed. We know that we've let the pendulum go too far. And so I would just take the opportunity to ask all of us to make sure that we don't leave it on the shoulders of the young people to be the solution, and we don't leave it on them to provide us hope, but that we provide hope to the youth. And we say, we're doing all we can to leave you a beautiful, livable, lovable planet. Thank you.